Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out Superman issue 6 by Joshua Williamson and Gleb Melnikov. After Night Terrors took over everything in DC, we are finally getting back to the stories the event railroaded, and we find Superman exploring the various secrets his city supposedly holds. Secrets that he had no idea were capable of existing, like Lex Luthor being a secret hero in his youth. The entire issue is couched in the aftermath of Lex Luthor being shanked in prison and almost dying. This sends Superman on an investigation into Project Chained, a project he was made aware of thanks to Graft and Farm, revealing that Lex has some skeletons in his closet. Most of this issue is Superman learning about Project Chained, and we find that it's a secret project Lex set up in his early days as a sort of experiment with the founders of Strikers Island, and it's intended to be a prison that holds the most dangerous people alive in solitary forever, effectively making it a sort of black box, if you will. Clark discovers that there was only one cell ever made, and it's chained up below Strikers Island, and it houses only one resident. Superman, wanting to use Supercorp for the betterment of Metropolis, intends to free whoever was imprisoned by Lex, and Williamson uses this opportunity to introduce us to the new villain of the book called the Chained. Clark tries to help the man, but upon learning that Superman has ties to Lex Luthor, he becomes enraged and attacks Superman and Mercy Graves with his psychic-like abilities. Williamson doles out a nice bit of backstory on Chained through this fight in a really nice way where it feels really casual and just very organic. It wasn't forced with Superman demanding to know who this guy is and everything. It was just sort of came out as the guy was trying to stop Superman, and we learned that Lex might have given him his powers, and then when he became a bit too unstable, he sealed him away in this box forever instead of killing him, which is quite interesting, which also alludes to the fact that maybe this guy was created when Lex was still an idealistic hero in his youth, and maybe this was him trying to find a way to give himself superpowers or make a hero for Metropolis so he doesn't have to be one anymore. I quite enjoy how Williamson is dealing with Supercorp, and how even now Superman is still trying to mop up Lex's problems and fix his mistakes, hence why he wants to free whoever is in this prison, since after all, he doesn't really believe what Lex was doing in his past is real and maybe is some sort of manipulation. So maybe this person he imprisoned is just an innocent person and Lex imprisoned him as some sort of villainous act. It also leads to a really interesting introspective moment for Superman, who thinks about how he uses his own prison in the form of the Phantom Zone to incarcerate his own villains. However, he's aware that he also uses that as a really last resort, and it's one he doesn't really like to use since it essentially turns him into judge, jury, and executioner on these people, and that's something he does not want Lex to be. I'm usually pretty hesitant when it comes to new characters, generally because the writer introduces them in one big issue that, you know, sells really well. They do all the variants and everything, hence like people like Punchline, and then never really do anything with the character after that one issue or one or two issues. However, I'm quite interested to see what Williamson has in store for us with the Chained, especially since he's tying the villain to Lex's past, all this stuff he's building up with Graft and Dr. Farm, the secrets of Metropolis. I like how it's all sort of connected in some tangential way and is just brought more together as the issues go on, and as Superman and Lois and the people at the Daily Planet sort of break open the story of all these secrets that Metropolis has. I do wish the book spent a little bit more time with Graft and Farm. They do get a little bit of a mention to sort of re-establish where they were when we last saw them and how they told Superman about Project Chained, but I do wish we got to see a little bit more of the villains and what they were up to, especially since the last issue left off with the cliffhanger that they had captured Lobo and were running tests on him. They found something in his blood that links to Brainiac, so there's some really cool stuff happening right now in the background of these Superman books, and I just wish we got a little bit more of it, since I don't feel like it's being doled out in quite enough of an amount each issue. It needs to just be that little bit more, but that could also be me just being a little bit greedy and wanting to know more about this big new event that's going to be starting with Brainiac at some point later on in the year or next year. Gleb Melnikov joins the book for the issue and does a really good job with the artwork. I really like Gleb. I like his artwork. I like the very sort of anime-esque inspired artwork he has for it, and it's very fitting for this new villain Chained, who looks like a villain villain from My Hero Academia. He's all covered in a straitjacket with all these chains and everything, using psychic powers, and I like how he uses the powers as well. He uses them not to just manipulate his chains, but he uses it to create like giant stone hands to crush Superman, and there's even a part where he uses it to deflect Superman's heat vision. It feels very Akira-esque in how it's being used, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that and more of Gleb's art, since it's always really good. Superman issue 6 was another really great issue, and I'm finally glad that it's getting back into the swing of things after Night Terrors derailed everything. I like the new villain Chained. I think he's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how it's connected to Lex's past as a hero, as well as his past with Graft and Dr. Farm, and the various secrets of Metropolis that are being revealed over the course of these issues. And if the end of the book is anything to go by, I'm looking forward to Lex taking the spotlight again in the book and finally revealing a bit more about his past that we've been alluded to over the last couple of issues. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Check it out. It's a great read and a great starting on point if you haven't read Superman yet. This new Superman run by Joshua Williamson, it's been great, but here is a great jumping on point. It's the start of a new story. It catches you up really quickly, and it's just all around a good time.